what's going to happen if we try to put together a national series. And so SEMA was a place that we announced Formula Drift 20 years ago. And so the theme for today's show or press conference is about the historic season that we just had and the celebration of 20 years. I can tell you one thing, there was a lot of excitement 20 years ago about what the sport could be, what it could do. That's nothing compared to what we saw this year. This year was by far and away the biggest year that we've had in our series history, and by a far margin. So I'd like to first start off with some highlights. First of all, we had the largest ever field of competitors in our series history. We had a max of 37 competitors for real estate reasons, and so 74 total drivers participated in both Pro and Pro Spec. Every single event that we had this year was a sellout, and also the biggest event for each market in that specific event's history. Overall, our live attendance was up 25%, in large part due to the expansion of the number of total days of competition. We added Thursday for the very first time, and the fans joining for the entire weekend. So it's one thing to spend 1 8-hour day, 2 8-hour days, 3 8-hour days. We saw many fans doing that, and I think that's just further evidence of how fanatical this fan base is. To put it simply, across all tracked metrics that we look at, we experienced the largest season in the series history, combined with the largest single season growth curve year over year. Here's a few highlights from our partner Hookit that tracks this as a third-party analytics company. The underlying number there is the overall media ad value that the series plus the teams generated in 2022. That $64 million ad number is double what it was last year. And looking at the details of why that is, it's because many of the teams and drivers have understood what model we operate under and have done a really good job in getting content out. The series is consisting of about a third of that. Our ad value is up about 90% from 2021. So 10-20% would be a great number for growth. When you're seeing a doubling year over year, that's incredible. This is a slide that we've had in our deck for a long time. It just kind of shows how we stack up against other more seemingly mainstream motorsports properties. We've been gaining traction on NASCAR for the past couple of years, and we're still in that second place. But when you look at our numbers for engagement, we pretty much crush everybody. And that is something that we're going to continue to double down on. We think this is a really big asset of the series, and we're coming for you, NASCAR. I'd like to give you guys the 2023 Formula Drift schedule first as part of our 20th season press conference. Most of you will be familiar with this, teams and drivers in the series. We've already given this to you guys. I'll quickly go down and highlight some of the things that are going to be incredibly important as we look at some of the other slides in the presentation. So we kick off round 1 at the streets of Long Beach, as it's been tradition for a long time. Round 2 will be at Michelin Raceway at Road Atlanta. The important aspect there is that we've been able to negotiate to get Pro Spec to kick off at Road Atlanta. Now, what that does for the series is something quite incredible. It now gives us 4 rounds, as we'll talk about when we get down to Salt Lake, that have more than enough paddock space for us to accommodate more drivers and teams, and we didn't have that in previous years. So Orlando will be a standalone pro round for round 3. Pro Spec round 2 and Pro round 4 will be at Englishtown Raceway. Pro Spec round 3 and Pro round 5 will be at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Evergreen Speedway will host the 6th round of the Pro Championship, and then the final round of the Pro Spec Championship in round 7 will be at Utah Motorsports Campus, which was a glaring success for us this year. It was something that we were really nervous about because we were thinking, if we had to come into SEMA and figure out a new venue, that would be really bad. It ended up being amazing, and so that's going to be the final event for the Pro Spec Championship. And of course, Irwindale Speedway caps things off for the pros. Now, why that's important is because I'm now going to show you next year's 2023 Pro Spec approved drivers list. Now, if you're counting, and I'll do it for you, that's 51 drivers. Okay, these are the drivers that have been waiting to come into Pro Spec for a long time. We've had to roll them over, but now that we can accommodate more paddock space, we're able to get in many more of the drivers that have been trying to get into Pro Spec from Pro-Am for a long time. Moving along to the 2023 Pro approved drivers list, I would call your attention to the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see some familiar names there that are coming back, that we've accepted their petitions. And there's 2 names there that have asked that we leave them out for the time being because they've got their own means and methods to announce their return or coming to the championship. So it looks like we're probably going to have about like 42, 43 pro drivers in the 2023 championship. So the cap is lifted, and now we're able to accommodate more drivers and focus on the quality of those drivers. Moving along into some things that we're going to be doing for the 20th season, I first want to give you a kind of a look and feel of the way that we're thinking about the championship. This is one of the emblem designs that we have that we'll be utilizing on marketing materials and merchandise and things of that nature. This is the kind of lock-up logo that we've become infamous for, putting in the XX on the 20, and this is going to be our 20th season corporate logo. Let's talk a little bit about prize money. So we don't really talk about this much, but we by far and away give out more prize money than any pro drifting championship. Last year we paid out 60% of the season-long registration to teams and drivers, whereas the industry standard is about 30-40%. In total, we gave out $180,000. For the 20th season, we're going to be committing to paying much, much more. And an example here is we're going to essentially double the first, second, and third place and almost quadruple the championship's purse for the 2023 season. Better make some friends with the judges, whoever clapped. We're also happy to announce the formation of the official Formula Drift podcast hosted by Jacob Gittens. Many of you may know Jacob, some of you may not. I've had a friendly behind the curtains, behind the industry relationship with him. I've been on his podcast a couple times. One of the things that really stood out to me was how interested he is in the well-being of drivers and teams. And because he's also a really good podcast host, he is going to be the host of The Outer Zone, the official podcast of Formula Drift, which will be comprised of two types of episodes: a long-form pre- and post-race interview show featuring pro and prospect drivers, FD staffers, and some of the sport's biggest personalities across the automotive industry in the true spirit of the sport. Outer Zone host Jacob Gittens, known to many as the host and creator of the popular Piston Heads podcast, will cut through all the tire and smoke and give the fans and listeners across the world the access to Formula Drift in the rawest possible way. No scripts, no pre-approved talking points, and all the episodes will be available on major podcast platforms and the Formula Drift YouTube channel starting in Q1 of 2023. So thank you, Jacob, for getting on board with this and turning it around really quick. We're really excited to see what you put together. Finally, as kind of a note of maturity, I think, and because we are getting into our 20th season, we're also happy. Oh, you know what? We have a little thing of Jacob.
Yo! Hello?
Hey, is this Rome? Hi, Jeff.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. What's up with you? Hi, Ryan. Hello. I have to introduce myself in a new way. I hope you're sitting down. My name is Jacob. I'm calling on behalf of the official Formula Drift podcast.
The official Formula Drift podcast? There's a Formula Drift podcast. All right, didn't know they had one. I was not aware, so this is the first I'm hearing of it.
For their 20th anniversary to do an official podcast, kind of casting a light on both the history and the controversy of FD, and they're basically telling me that I can ask whatever I want to whoever I want.
Nice, it's kind of dangerous, but nice.
I'm like, I'm going to ask hard questions.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so, if there's any skeletons in your closet, you may want to get those out now before I bring them up.
So I need to delete my history, and I'm going to delete Tinder right now.
I wanted you to be the first guest. I think with the year and the comments section, you're probably the number one guy on everybody's mind, so.
So that was a little piece. Jacob called some drivers to kind of surprise him about the introduction of the podcast, if you couldn't hear exactly what he was saying, but we're definitely looking forward to that. Moving right along here to our final announcement, we are happy to announce the establishment of the Formula Drift Hall of Fame. Formula Drift Hall of Fame, after 20 years, is going to be available to all former and current hard card holders and that have contributed to the growth of the sport in such a way that the sport would not be the same without that person. The inductees are going to receive a one-of-one custom ring created by Jostens, which is the creator of the NFL Super Bowl and Major League Baseball World Series rings. The rings will be encrusted with 30 diamonds and valuable gemstones valued at over $10,000. And we've been able to secure a location for a monument to be erected on the site of the Formula Drift Long Beach event and FDH's current home, where each inductee's name will be engraved for all time on that monument as a member of the Formula Drift Hall of Fame. In addition to that, I'd like to show you a little bit of one of the preliminary designs of the ring. Kind of the theme here is that we've got the FD icon and the initials of the person that's getting inducted married together for time and all eternity as a commitment for the contribution that they've made to the sport. This is probably not going to be the final one, but it's pretty close. It's kind of what we're going for. And I think when we put all these things together and everything that's been accomplished by you, the teams, and all of the media personnel in the series, we've got a really, really good first 19 years. I'm super excited. I know a lot of other people are to kick off the 20th season, and hopefully that'll be another 20 on top of that. Thank you for your time and attention.